By now, anyone who watches this channel knows that I like film, and apparently the good folks over at Dehancer took notice, because they recently contacted me to take a look at some of their plugins and give them my fair and honest review of them. And I just want them to remember that they told me to be as brutally honest with this review as I could be. Just remember that you get what you ask for if this video doesn't go the way you planned. So what is Dehancer? Dehancer is marketed as the most accurate film emulation plugin for a multitude of editing suites, including Premiere, Resolve, Photoshop, Lightroom, and a handful of others. The specific plugin I'm going to be taking a look at today is Dehancer Pro for DaVinci Resolve, because I suck at color grading and I thought it might be able to really help me out with the look I want to have for my channel. I don't want to have to do a super deep dive into this plugin because there are a lot of options and menus for this, and if I were to do that, it would take a feature-length video to get all the information to you. Don't get me wrong, I'm going to cover a lot, I'm just not going into the customized options. If you aren't running a new or extremely powerful editing rig, you may have problems with slow and sluggish video. For comparison, I'm running a MacBook Pro with the M3 chip, and sometimes it takes a minute for that to get up to speed. I've never noticed any other plugins slowing down my MacBook this way, but Dehancer seems to be a bit heavier than any of the other ones I use. The way I use Dehancer was by taking my footage into Resolve, doing all of my primary edits on different nodes when it comes to color grading, and then at the very end of the node chain, I use Dehancer. The first menu is for input, and I'm assuming you're all smart enough to know what that means, but if you don't, please do better. You can also adjust your exposure compensation, temperature, tint, and defringe here. Next, the reason we are all here, the film. Dehancer has put together a comprehensive selection of film stock options. And it's not just them trying to make something look like that particular film stock by eyeballing it. They actually use the real film and scans to create these options. There is a buffet of film stock options for you here, including Kodak's Vision 3, which is what they shot Star Wars on, and it's one of those most sought after looks for video. They've included looks from Fuji, Ilford, Cinestill, Polaroid even. There is a ton more for you to dive into here. You can change contrast, gamma, color separation, and even boost the color here. One of my favorite things about film is how compressed the tonal range is, and Dehancer does a fairly great job of recreating that with their film compression menu, which is one of my favorite tools in this plugin. It can help you adjust clipping even more and allows you to adjust your complete tonal range to what you want it to be. It can't bring back the details that you've lost in clipping, but it can definitely improve the blown out areas of your highlights. That is if your footage is not that great coming from the source in the first place. We all shoot bad footage sometimes. This can maybe help you fix it a bit. Color density provides you with even more color saturation into that tonal range. And it gives you more latitude, again, without clipping. For anybody who doesn't know anything about film, the print menu can be slightly confusing. It allows you to select the paper print of your footage. It is basically the version of the film that would be sent out to theater houses to be projected onto the screen. So you have your shooting film, and you have your print film. You've got several options for print film here, so just flavor it to your taste. I think a lot of it is just based on what you want your image to look like, and that's your prerogative. I do want to take a second to mention the color density slider, because it can provide you with perceptual saturation, which is to say that it doesn't provide saturation evenly across all colors, it only targets aesthetically pleasing colors and increases their saturation. I can hear you asking, how? I don't fucking know, but it's awesome. Colorhead just gives you more options to adjust the color in your image. You can adjust your highlights, midtones, shadows, you get it. Now for the fun stuff, and why probably everybody clicked on this video. Grain, halation, bloom, damage, breath, and weave. This is where I think Dehancer truly shines. Yes, the other stuff is great, and there are plenty of great features in those menus. But when it comes to film grain, I don't know of any other plugin that can hold a candle to Dehancer. Instead of using overlays, Dehancer literally recreates your shot, using local color and brightness characteristics, along with a complex physical modeling of film emulsion. That part is pulled right from their manual for anybody that's curious. I'm gonna be honest with you, it's cool as f. They have options for 8, 16, 35, and 65mm films, and a slider to add or remove as much grain as you want from your image. You can make your footage as grainy as your grimy little heart desires. And it truly does not look like digital grain. And I love it. There is also a custom tab where you can make all kinds of wild changes to your film grain that you want to make. You can increase it, make it bigger, smaller, change the direction, all of that. I'm not going to get into that, but just know that it's there. I haven't used the custom menus yet because the built-in functions are working just great for me as is. Halation is something that you will see in far more older films than you will in modern movies. It's that little red-orange glow that hides in the highlights and high contrast areas of film, and Dehancer does an amazing job of recreating that look. However, it can quickly get out of hand, but we will come back to that in a minute. The bloom tab, in the simplest of terms, is a digital pro mist filter. It softens your image, and when light sources are present, it will create varying degrees of a glow around that light source. Bloom and halation are, in my opinion, two of the most important tools within the Dehancer plugin. I think that these two things are a large part of what makes your footage look more like film. And when you combine them with these next tools, the look will come together even more. There is the film damage menu, which I think is fairly self-explanatory. Do you want your footage to look like it was hauled around in a box for years and nobody cared about it? Or do you want it to look like it came out of the box brand new? Pick your poison and apply as needed with a slider. It's also really convincing and it doesn't stand out as much as overlays do. It comes in the usual 4 flavors that Dehancer offers: 8, 16, 35, and 65 millimeter. And again, a custom menu where you can change everything you want to your liking. Traditional film was made with an emulsive coating, and through inconsistent exposures and use over time, the film would respond differently when light was projected through it. This was known as film breath. This tab recreates those flaws and inconsistencies very well. Gateweave emulates the effect that film has as it's passed through mechanical carriers across a light source. While film breath gives you the inconsistent exposure look, Gateweave gives you the look of film moving across mechanical carriers and possibly missing the teeth of those mechanical carriers. Overscan simply lets you put a film frame around your footage in whatever flavor you like: 8, 16, 35, 65. I have found that is great for emulating 8mm footage, but that's probably the only thing that I personally would use it for. I'm sure many of you out there could find great uses for it. Vignetting is one of those things that I think everybody should know by now. I'm not going to cover it, just know that it's there and that you can use it. And if you do decide to use it, Dehancer recommends that you use it at the beginning of your grading process. The monitoring tab lets you know if there's any clipping in your footage, and also gives you the option to see it in false color infrared. The output tab controls how much of an effect Dehancer has on your footage. Want to take a little bit off? Slide left. Want to bump it up again? Slide right. It's like the film emulation cha-cha slide. Output LUT is a super awesome feature that I haven't seen talked about much in other reviews of this. If you find a recreation of film that you like, before putting on any of your effects, you can output the LUT. The LUT will not include your halation, bloom, gate weave, anything like that, but it will contain the basic settings for your color and film stock. So if there's just a simple little edit you have to make real fast, you can just output that LUT and throw it on some footage. And then you would only need to put on the little effects afterwards and not have to have that heavy color processing information. I think it's genius and I commend them for doing this. It can save people a lot of time and effort with just a basic application. It would be great for something like my travel vlogs. If I didn't feel like going heavy into the color grading with my travel vlogs, I could just throw one of those on there. Remember, it can't recreate your halation, bloom, weave, breath, any of that, but you can output your color adjustments. On top of their plugins for desktop, Mac, any computer, they've launched an iOS app for it, and it makes it super easy to have that awesome film look on all of your iPhone footage. And that kind of footage is driving social media crazy right now. That's pretty much all of Dehancer, at least for Resolve. So how do I feel about it? I have some opinions, and it does not reflect upon the quality that Dehancer offers you. I think they have a great product that provides awesome results, and it is by far the best film emulation plugin that I've used or seen out there on the market. I know DaVinci has its own onboard options for trying to recreate the film look, but this is just so much easier and much more accurate. Dehancer does come on strong at first until you dial it back, but that's more of a preference thing on my end. You can fix it so it's not an issue with the plugin itself. The grain and contrast in film just comes on really strong. And sometimes you gotta woo me a little bit for me to dive in a little deeper. I can see others being put off by how strong this comes on as well, if I'm being honest. You have to play with it a bit to give it a look that you're happy with. As I stated at the beginning, Dehancer is super computer intensive. It is the only plugin that has ever slowed my MacBook down. And it is the only plugin to give me sluggish footage while editing. And I don't know if it matters or not because I'm not the numbers guy, but I was only editing 8-bit footage. So I can see this being a barrier to entry with smaller filmmakers who don't have the budget for a higher end editing rig. I'm probably going to piss Dehancer off with this, despite the fact that they did ask me to give them an honest and fair review of the plugin. And I'm going to be as honest as possible when it comes to these product reviews. I think the price tag on Dehancer is probably my biggest gripe with this plugin. Dehancer Pro is $495 for the lifetime license. And to be fair, they do break it down into smaller bits where you can buy every little different piece of the plugin that you want. And that does have a reduced price on those. They offer just their halation grain, things like that. You can buy those individually for use, which I do think is a genius business model for them. It does what it says it's going to do, and it does it very well. It can accurately emulate film on a number of different film stocks. You can create all kinds of unique looks and styles. It is an incredibly powerful and useful tool, but do I think it is worth the price tag? Yes, but only if you have the income to do so. If you're a filmmaker on a budget, I am not recommending that you get this plugin. Do I think it could take things you're shooting to another level? Yes. But if I were in your shoes, I would invest that money into other stuff to where I'm making money full-time in photo and video before making a purchase like Dehancer. And I do think it's important, as the kids say, to stand on business. And even though I could possibly make 10% off sales from my affiliate code on my channel, but I don't want people to think that they have to have this plugin for their footage to look great. If you're already an established filmmaker and you have the income coming in from the work you are doing, and you want to have an awesome new tool in your bag of tricks, absolutely purchase this plugin. 100% absolutely purchase this plugin. It will make your life so much easier if you are into that film look. And you can save yourself 10% right now by using my affiliate code JALLEN10. Dehancer, I absolutely love your guys' product and what you are doing for the film emulation community, especially because your product does exactly what it says it's going to do. I greatly appreciate you guys reaching out to me and asking me to give a fair review of this product, because a lot of companies do not want a fair review. Terms and conditions do apply in a lot of those situations. And hopefully I didn't piss you guys off too bad, because I genuinely do like your product. I hope you can take my criticisms with a grain of salt. I had to be very nitpicky to find things about your plugin that I did not like, and if the only bad things I can say about it are that you're a little computer heavy, or that your price tag might be a little rich for some people's blood, that's not that bad considering all the things you guys offer. And for full disclosure, Dehancer did provide their plugin for free to me, and did offer me an affiliate code where you get 10% off. So if you make that decision and want to buy it, please feel free to use my affiliate code. I'm just trying to give you guys my thought process behind using Dehancer and what I think of the plugin as a whole. Does what it says, it does it well, and it is incredibly easy to use. Again, thank you for reaching out to me. I loved playing with this plugin. I had a ton of fun looking at all the different film stocks and looks, and hopefully you guys don't absolutely hate me for my criticisms. And anyone who happened to like this video or found it useful, please feel free to like, subscribe, and comment, and let me know what you guys think.